Hello and welcome back to Just Meg Elise, a podcast about healing, remembering who you are, and diving into deeper alignment. I'm Meg. Each week I'll be sharing the soul work, the self-reflections, and the healing practices that have helped me in the hopes that they help you too. During today's episode, we're going to talk about gratitude and finding gratitude in the middle of the mess. The world is chaotic right now, but we can still reach for tools like these to assist us. So gratitude a lot of the times is presented to us as like this shiny, perfect mindset that we have to have. But when you're in the middle of grief, when you're in the middle of burnout, it's hard to reach for that. I get that. So instead of offering it to you as this like perfect mindset that you have to hold all day long, which is, let's be honest, quite impossible in the world that we live in, what if instead we used it as a grounding tool or a nervous system regulation tool that you can reach for sometimes when you're feeling overwhelmed or feeling sad or whatever it is that you're feeling that you might need some assistance with? Especially if a lot of like maybe concerning stuff is happening in our life, we can get into maybe like a woe is me sort of mindset. And to bring ourselves out of that, it's good to focus on the things that we do have, the good things that are already in our lives. I want to give you an example of how I very recently practiced that. So this week, my pest control guy came and he showed me that there was bees living under a part of the vinyl siding on my home. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me, because that can be thousands of dollars to remediate. So I had a little minty bee on Thursday. I cried for probably 30 minutes, then stopped, journaled, cried some more. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was so upset about this because I don't have the money to fix this right now. I just don't. And like the price tags were running through my head. Just to get a beekeeper out here to like capture them alive can be, between $400 to $800. It just depends on how much work is involved, especially if they have to like remove part of the vinyl siding to get to the bees and, make sure that they don't come back. And then I had to hire another guy to like, let's say they do remove the vinyl siding, to replace the vinyl siding as well as like seal up the bottom of it so that they don't come back. So it was just, my head's like ringing with, oh my gosh, how much is this going to cost me? And I had a moment where I was like crying and allowing myself to grieve it. That's the other thing. And we've talked about this before. When something like that happens, allow yourself to grieve it. Allow yourself to feel the feelings, to cry, to scream into a pillow, to journal, to be upset about what's happening. And then we can start to take action. Not only physical action to help ourselves through that situation, but also mental action. How can I make myself feel better in this moment? So what I started to do is some breath work. I did deep breath work, and I also asked myself, okay, where am I feeling this in my body? Okay, I'm feeling it in my belly. Can we focus on there? Can we do like energy of breath into the belly and then releasing any of that energy? My belly just growled as I said that. That's funny. My belly's like, you talking about me? So that was one thing that I did. And also I reached for gratitude. I thought, Megan, you have this beautiful house. I love this house. I love the area that I live in. You have so many things right now to be grateful for. Yeah, the bees aren't great, but you can't do anything about that. You can't stop any of the insects from coming near your house. You know what I mean? Like, and it is what it is. So again, if we just look at gratitude as something we can reach for when we're having a hard time, or if you want to practice gratitude more often, which I absolutely encourage, I'm going to give you some ideas of how to do that as well. So first of all, I hate it when I hear people say gratitude is spiritual bypassing. No, spiritual bypassing is, let's say your house is on fire, or let's use my example of the bees being inside of my house. Spiritual bypassing would be like me wanting to cry, me wanting to break down about that and journal and being like, no, everything's fine. I'm fine. This is not going to bother me. This doesn't bother me. And I need to stay positive. I have to stay positive. That is spiritual bypassing. Me not allowing myself to grieve that, to cry, to be like, why is this happening? Ugh! That would be spiritual bypassing. Coming back to gratitude and trying to shift your mindset is not spiritual bypassing. It's just a different lens from which to view the world in. Because let's be honest, we've all been taught and like programmed to view the world through a lack mindset, viewing the world through the things that we don't have or through the things that are going wrong, and we don't view the world through the things that are going right. We do at all times usually have a lot of things that are going right for us, but the mind doesn't tend to focus on that, right? So it's okay to stop focusing on the things that we don't want for just a second and focus on the things that we do or the things that we already have. It's just a shift in perspective, a shift in mindset. And also, gratitude can coexist while we're still experiencing sadness or fear or overwhelm. It's not trying to override those emotions or pretend like they're not there. That would be spiritual bypassing. Gratitude just allows us to move into a happier, more peaceful state, even if just for a few minutes while we're practicing it, to pull the mind out of the areas where it's struggling. Gratitude honestly can be like a rope that keeps you tethered and grounded while everything feels like it's unraveling. There is always something to be thankful for, always. Even if it's just the breath that you breathe, the sun shining, the green grass, clean air to breathe in, food to eat, a roof over your head. There are so many things to be grateful for, things that other people don't have that we currently have. There's probably many people who are praying for the life that you have right now. Praying to have a job, praying to have a home, praying to have a working car or friends or family, or to look how you look, or whatever it is. They are reaching for that, and you already have it, and we tend to disregard those things, right? It's a human thing, no judgment, all of us do it, but we disregard the great things that are in our life, and the mind tends to focus on the things that we don't have instead of everything that we do. I'm going to share a few of the different ways that I practice gratitude, and then maybe you can choose one of those ways and learn to integrate it into your own life. So in the morning, I have a very intense morning routine, and one of the things that I do in the morning, not every morning, sometimes if I'm in a bit of a hurry, I'll skip it, but most mornings I'll write in my gratitude list. And how I write in my gratitude list is I usually think of the day before, and I'm like, what is everything I can be thankful for that previous day, or what is coming up today that I can be really excited and thankful for. And so I'll list all of those things. Like, I'm so thankful. Let's say I went to the farmer's market the day before, and I'm like, I'm so thankful for the great weather. The farmer's market was great. I got some great groceries. I got a brand new plant. I'm thankful for my friends. I'm thankful for good weather. I'm thankful to even live in a city that has a farmer's market, stuff like that. And one thing that I was doing previously, this was about 2 years ago that I started this, but I recruited my friends to do a gratitude list with me every morning, and we would text each other in a string of text messages, the gratitude list. And at one point, it felt like I was the only one really participating in it, and that's fine. That's not necessarily what they wanted to do every morning. So I ended up stopping that, and I just now do the gratitude list for myself. But that is one way you can kind of recruit other people if you have other people in your life that are also wanting to practice gratitude in the morning, because it keeps you accountable, right? You're waiting for each other's text messages where you're showing. What we did is we wrote in our journal, and then we took a picture of the journal entry and then texted it to each other. Another thing that I'll do is at the end of my day, sometimes I would literally just speak out loud or in my head 3 things that I'm grateful for. Let's say I'm laying in bed and I'll just try and think of 3 things. Okay, I'm grateful for my nice, warm, and soft bed. I'm grateful for my home. I'm grateful for my health. And it helps me to end the day on a positive note. It helps me to get in a more positive mindset, especially before we fall asleep. And then sometimes I've noticed when I do that before bed, I'll either have a really cool, positive dream or something. Do you know what I mean? I really do believe that our mindset right before we fall asleep contributes to how well we're sleeping and the dreams that we might experience. This is why, side topic, I don't like watching scary things right before bed, because it gets into your subconscious and then you'll have dreams about those images, right? We can hack that in a good way. We can think of positive things right before bed, or watch positive, uplifting shows right before bed to get in that mindset and soak in those positive things into our subconscious before we fall asleep. Another thing to mention with this is I've told friends about this, and they've started practicing it with their partners or their children. Let's say you're putting your children to bed, and you could say, what are 3 things that you're grateful for today? They can list 3 and you can list 3. And it's a nice little exercise to do together, as well as with your partner. Maybe you can say 3 things that you're grateful for, and then they say 3 things that they're grateful for, and you do the exercise together. And that might be a really nice way to end your day together. Not only doing that at the end of the day, you can do that in the middle of your day. Let's say you're anxious in the middle of your day, or you're having a thought pattern or a thought spiral that's maybe a little bit negative, or you're focusing on something that's negative in your life. Let's say I'm focusing on thinking about the bees and how much that's going to cost me. I could easily use this as a nervous system regulation tool and focus on gratitude. Another favorite thing that I like to do is just looking around my room and looking at everything I have to be grateful for. The computer in front of me, I'm so grateful I have this wonderful computer. My microphone, I'm so grateful for my microphone. This has been my little buddy the last few years. I'm so grateful I have a phone. I love my case. It's my favorite color. I love that I hand painted this little wall mural behind me. There's so many things in this room that I have to be grateful for. And if I just look around the room and take in those things, there's just so much. And we ignore it on the day-to-day. Again, it's human, but can you start to begin to notice? And sometimes they're so small. The other day I thought to myself, man, I was living in a house at one point that was so tiny. I couldn't have a kitchen table because there was no room for the kitchen table. And now I live in a house that's a tiny bit bigger and I have a kitchen table. And it's such a small thing to be grateful for, but I'm so thankful that I have that kitchen table. And it's just shifting our mindset from whenever we think about it to being more grateful and being more positive. So that's another thing that you can do, is just simply take a moment, look around your room and sit and ask yourself, what do I have to be grateful for in this moment? But just taking a moment to look around the room that you're in, maybe once a day or multiple times a day as a nervous system regulation tool, and just looking and saying, what do I have in this room at this moment to be thankful for? It can be items in the room. It could be memories that they represent. It could also have to do with your own physical body. Like I'm grateful for my eyesight. I'm grateful for my brain. I'm grateful for my body from which to move through the world. All of those things. And finding one thing to focus on or multiple things to focus on. So sometimes as well, I'll journal about gratitude. Maybe I'll do a certain prompt and then journal about that prompt. So let me give you some examples. Here are some journaling prompts that have to do with gratitude. What made me feel safe today? What beauty did I witness today, no matter how small? What am I proud of myself for surviving this week? I love that one. Also, some other things that you could do, maybe like a voice memo gratitude dump. Like instead of doing it once a day, maybe you do it once a week and you just speak into your voice memo and like, these are all the things that I'm grateful for. Side note, I love a good voice memo over journaling. Like, first of all, I love old school journaling and like pen and paper writing in a journal. I love that. It's one of my favorite things. However, the main complaint that I get from people is like their brain is like on to sentence number 5, but their fingers are still writing out sentence number 1. Do you know what I mean? It's like a slow process and people don't like that. I get that. You don't have to do pen and paper journaling. You can write on a Word document on your computer. You can write stuff into an email, or one of my favorites is recording stuff into a voice memo. And then you can like email yourself that voice memo or however you want to do it. Also, if you're afraid of somebody like listening to it, create a secret email account. Nobody's going to know. And maybe all of your journal entries or all of your voice memos go into that email account. Nobody else needs to know about it. That's for you. Also, you can do gratitude before starting any new task. Maybe gratitude before a meal. Like if you're religious and you pray before your meal, sending gratitude for this food. Even if you're not religious, because I'm not religious, just saying, I'm so grateful for this food. I'm so grateful for the ability, to have a fresh farmer's market near me, or a beautiful grocery store near me with fresh vegetables, or just even having the money and a job to be able to purchase these groceries. Or maybe you make gratitude right before you go to bed. I'm so grateful to have a nice, warm, cozy bed, whatever it is. Or every single day, just naming one thing that you're grateful for. Maybe you're holding your hot mug of tea and you wrap your hands around it, which, by the way, just holding a warm liquid is very calming to the nervous system. And you just say to that cup of tea, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you exist and that I'm able to enjoy you in this moment. And it doesn't have to be out loud. Nobody has to know that you're doing it. It's just for you. I know the biggest thing right now is like the world is in chaos. We know that there are some really scary things happening and we can't control it. Yes, we can take steps to like advocate for things to be better, but really we can't control what's happening. So all that we can control is our own life and our own inner world, right? And the thoughts that we're thinking about what's happening. It's okay to worry. It's okay to grieve things that are happening in the world. It's okay to grieve the things that are happening to you, in the instance of the bees for me. And still, after you're done grieving those things, it's okay to try and reach for something more positive or that feels better to hold on to, like gratitude, instead of just allowing the mind to roll down the negative thought patterns that it likes to grip onto. We all know this, like rolling down the train tracks of the worst case scenario thoughts. We've all done it. What if you stop that train for just a second? You notice the thoughts that you're thinking. You say stop. You can use like a disruptor phrase is what I like to call them. Stop. We're not doing that right now. Saying something back to those thoughts, speaking back to your negative thoughts, and then trying to shift it to something more positive, like gratitude, or just being in the present moment, or just a different thought entirely. I talk about this in my book, the different things that I'll try and switch to when I'm trying to get out of a negative mindset. My number one thing is gratitude, or just focusing on the present moment, or just changing the thought completely, saying, no, we're not doing that right now. Let's think of something else. Maybe I think of my to-do list or my grocery list or what I want to do next week or a vacation that I'm planning in my head, whatever it is. But gratitude is one of many, many tools that you can use to just help yourself feel better. And isn't that the goal? To feel more alive, to feel more at peace, to feel more happiness in our day to day. And the thing is, we have to cultivate that for ourselves. Sometimes it doesn't just come naturally, especially when we've been programmed as a society to think very negative thoughts, to think worst case scenario thoughts, and to focus our attention on the things that are going wrong. Perfect example is our news cycle. They never focus on the positive things. There are many positive things happening every single day. Do you ever see those stories? Very rarely. Because those stories don't sell. Because the collective is focused on what's going wrong versus what's going right. Okay? It doesn't make the choice of focusing on what's going right wrong. It's just not what our society tends to focus on. Okay, can we start? And where do things start? Always. They start with us. They start internally. You can't change anybody else. But guess what you can change? You. You start with you. It always starts with you. Everything starts with you. So can we have a little bit more gratitude? What can we start with today? What can we focus our attention on today and start there? Thank you so much for joining me today. If you want to go deeper on your healing journey, there are so many different ways to connect with me, and they are all linked below in the show description notes. My book, Don't You Dare, is available for purchase on Amazon. The link is below. If you want to learn more about the ego voice and dive into shadow work, this is an excellent tool for you. I also have my most loved meditation bundle. These are my highest rated meditations over the years. That is also linked below. I also have a new course that is now available, the Affirmation Reset course. This is for those of us who struggle with limiting beliefs or negative beliefs and starting to rewire some of those beliefs. I also offer one-on-one coaching and hypnotherapy sessions. You can find more information on my website, meganshirey.com, meganshirey.com. I also teach a free live guided meditation every Sunday morning on the Insight Timer app at 10 Eastern, 9 Central, 8 Mountain, 7 Pacific. So hopefully you'll be able to join us there. Also, if you enjoy this podcast, please be sure to join me on Patreon for exclusive meditations, behind-the-scenes reflections, and a soft healing community space. And again, if you're interested in any of the things I just listed, they're all linked below in the show description notes. If you enjoy these episodes, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and please leave us a review. It helps us to reach more listeners and expand this conscious community. May you be happy, may you be well, may you be joyous and at ease, sending you infinite love and light, and until next time.